What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Today on the program, speaking of entertainment, I have Naked Without It. Well, at least half of Naked Without It. Tony J. Pooley and Martin Kennedy are the members of Naked Without It. Now, Martin Kennedy, he had a gig tonight. So I got the pleasure of talking to Tony J. Pooley. So you're going to get to hear about him and, a little bit about Martin Kennedy and the story behind, or at least part of the story behind Naked Without It, the band. So stick around for that. This week's shows, let's see. Oh, I have 2 public shows. Well, 3 public shows. I'm at the Taylor's Made Cafe in Conway, Arkansas from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. on Wednesday nights. That has been a very interesting gig. That's an outdoor gig, uncovered outdoor gig. So as long as the weather permits, we've been having a good time with the video dance party karaoke jam at Taylor's Made in Conway, Arkansas. Let me tell you, this place, it's a great restaurant. That primarily, first and foremost, they have some great food. And if you're a meat eater like I am, try the steak. It is delicious. Oh my goodness. It was making serious love to my mouth. It was just so good tasting that steak, and it was cooked to perfection, exactly the way I wanted it. They had, and they had some vegetables and a salad next to it. It was really, that was good too. But the steak, delicious. That is their specialty, I think, is the steaks. I mean, I know they have seafood and chicken and stuff like that as well, and vegetarian items as well. But yeah, come on out. Taylor's Made Cafe in Conway, Arkansas for the outdoor video dance party, karaoke jam. Always a good time. I mean, I've only been doing that one for about the last 2 weeks. And both weeks, the 2 lovely servers, oh my goodness, they said, this is the busiest we've been in years. So I'm very excited that it's mutually beneficial. I bring something for them, they bring something for me, and we get to have a good time all together. And I appreciate that. I like that. That's a brand new venue for me. And then on Friday nights, oh my goodness, just like last Friday night, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday nights from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Always a good time. The video dance party, karaoke jam. You're the stars of the show. They got a stage. They got a great sound system. Oh my goodness. It is booming. And I have that thing set up so good. It's, it's louder next to where the singers are singing, and it's still quiet enough that you could still talk on the far end of the room. So I keep it, I make sure that I have my sound levels just right. It's got a full bar. The kitchen's open. They have some good food too. They send me home every Friday night with some good food, some chicken wings. Barbecue chicken wings. But they also have pizzas and burgers, and they might have steaks back there as well. But the chicken wings are the ones I don't eat all my chicken wings. Don't do that. No, but over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, good people. They got 10 diamond-style pool tables. In fact, they have a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money, check out the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And, of course, the video dance party, karaoke jam, always on this side of the room. The room's big enough to where I can split the sound to where it's, they could still hear the music over on that end, but it's not going to be so disturbing that they can't play their pool and their pool tournament. And even if you don't want to be in the pool tournament, they always keep a couple of tables open if you just want to casually play some pool. But yeah, always a good time. I've been doing that gig on and off for the past almost 20 years. So I'm very excited to have that steadiness of the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And then on Saturday, let's see. Oh my goodness. Saturday, I am at a gig. It's a brand new gig. It's like an open mic night for the city of, oh my goodness. I gotta look this up right here. Oh, how unprofessional of me. No, I'll be in Hartman, Arkansas. I believe it's 218 Line Street, Hartman, Arkansas. That is an outdoor event. They have a big stage, from what I understand. I've never been there, but it's going to be a long event for me. It's from 12 p.m., 12 noon, all the way till 10 p.m., and it's going to be band after band after band after band. I'm playing the music in the background, you know, for when the band, between the bands, but it's primarily going to be used as a kind of a battle of the bands, kind of an audition for the bands. And it's the first time I've been all the way out there in Hartman, Arkansas. It's a little bit away, but I think it's going to be totally worth it for me to go it's about an hour and a half away from where I'm at. But I'm stoked. It's a brand new place, the chance to see new people perform at a new venue. It is outdoors. I do have a little tent that I'm bringing that's going to help me to cover my equipment just in case. I mean, it's going to protect me from the sun itself. But the lady that I'm working for, she said there's going to be a nice big stage, and I'm providing the sound and the speakers and the PA system for them. But I'm so stoked. It's Hartman, Arkansas, out there in the park. So I'm very excited on Saturday. It's going to be a long gig, but I think it's going to be totally worth it. All right, that's enough. That's enough intro for this one. Let's get into it with Naked Without It. I got Tony J. Pooley. He's on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Skyping Tony J. Pooley of Naked Without It now.
It's Tony. My I don't know how it's worked out, but I haven't used Skype in a long time. And my son Tyler has obviously hijacked my account and changed the name. Martin can't be with us either, I'm afraid. Martin's got a gig tonight, so
all right. Well,
he had to go where the money was.
Let me remove him from the underline, even though he's part of the team. I got that. I fixed that. Really? Tony J. Pooley on my screen as I live and breathe. The guitar man and acoustic guitar, to be sure. But it's good to see you. What's up?
Yeah, not so bad. Yeah, all good this end. Thanks very much. Whereabouts are you? Are you Arkansas sort of direction?
I am in Arkansas. I'm from Miami, but I'm living in Arkansas for the past almost 20 years now. But the thing I have to address first is that gigantic record collection behind you. Man, I'm seeing some vinyl. I have 2 records left. One of them is hanging up behind me. It's Billy Crayone's record that he sent me a while back. It's yellow vinyl. And then I have Jimi Hendrix Experience in the closet, and that's it. I had thousands of records when I was growing up, but I lost them in a storage facility that I had to give up. I couldn't quite pay for the storage facility. So if you don't pay, they take your stuff. So I had thousands of records gone.
I've seen that there's like they love showing the TV shows over here where they break into the lockers of people that haven't paid the bill or whatever, and they never know what's in there and all that sort of stuff. But so my vinyl still sits quite proudly in the music room.
Yes, but I don't even have any turntables. I have electronic turntables that are, let's see, I have a Pioneer set that's sitting in front of me, and then I have a Rain set, that DJ set that's sitting out in the van, and I use those to control MP3s and various electronic, like I guess they got waves and different electronic music, and use them. The Rains that are out in the van have vinyl topped turntables that make you have that look and feel of turntables without having to have the actual platters, the actual records. But I do miss. I
Right.
Technique 1200s, no 1203s back in the 90s when I was DJing, and I had thousands of records. But the disadvantage of that, and I guess there's advantages and disadvantages to having records when you're DJing at parties, is whatever's in that crate is all you're going to listen to. You don't have the ability to go out into the internet and say, oh, you want to hear some Naked Without It? Oh, let me go ahead and buy that album. There, and I'll play some Naked Without It right there for you. And for those that are listening and don't know why I'm saying Naked Without It, because having the name Naked, I guess I remember Bare Naked Ladies. They were a band here, and they had that name. And if you put that on a banner, people might show up for different reasons.
Well, we always say when we play gigs that if people want to find out any more about us, then you need to Google Naked Without It. And of course, the last album was called Naked Without It Singles Club. So if you Google Naked Without It Singles Club, I promise you some of the results aren't us.
Yes, well, with caution. Caution.
They're not us, but I mean, I don't know about Martin's sidelines, but normally it's So sometimes you do get some. So we always tell people to be careful how they Google us.
Yeah, I experienced that just a mere over the last all this morning when I was looking stuff up about you, and I don't do a lot of research on these things, but I know you're in somewhere in the UK, and maybe you can expound on that. Yep. But when I did look up Naked Without It, especially the latest single, Girl at a Bar. So if you look up Naked Without It, Girl at a Bar, with extreme caution. Yep. Turn all your filters on if you don't want to see some things.
And the last single was called All the Drugs as well. So I've not planned this out very well, have I?
Or maybe you have. Maybe there is a diabolical plan that came about, because you're going to get people that find you when they're looking for other things. So there's
that's always good.
Their ability to expand your audience without even trying all that hard, just by having a name.
I like to think of the disappointment. I like to think of the disappointment when they do, when whatever they're looking for, and they find us two playing guitars. That must be very disappointing for them.
Well, what's funny is I learned about you from was it the Big Records? I guess it was the people over there, the fine Big G Records. They turned me on to you, and it's some good timey folk music. If you're just chilling in the backyard, having a barbecue, having some folks over, you put the Naked Without It band in the background, couple of guitars, and I noticed, all right, Tony J. Pooley, but Martin Kennedy, I wonder, does he play a Martin guitar? It feels right,
He should do. No, I know he actually plays a freshman guitar, which is he obviously is the lead guitar player. So he obviously plays the very expensive guitar. I just have the Tanglewoods that sort of like tack along behind, I'm afraid. But yeah, Martin's is the expensive guitar.
Okay, all right. Well, all those records behind you. Okay, you're okay. Where did you grow up, and why do you have all those records, and do you play them at all?
Well, I do. I do. I have a. I'm from a little place called Slough. Now, Slough is quite a hard place to explain. It's about 20 minutes out of London, and yeah, I don't. We were talking at the gig on Friday night that we played about cities and towns, and a friend of mine used to live in Manchester, which is sort of northern England. And legendarily, like a very dangerous place. Happy Mondays were from Manchester. Stone Roses were from Manchester. That sort of thing. And it was known as the murder capital of England for a long time. And then at one point, this little town just outside of London called Slough took their crown, because Slough became the murder capital of England. And we found that quite funny, to be honest. And considering there's no guns over here, how you become the murder capital of the country is it's not something to be proud of, but it just shows that it was quite a rough sort of town, to be honest.
Well, the American thing would be, if you're going to do it, be the best at it. Be number one. So if you're going to have that moniker of murder capital, yes, we're number one. Own it. Love it. No, really. I mean, and then you're proving that guns are not the only thing that kill people. You're proving that there's quite a few different weapons.
And that's the other thing. We do tell a story as well that when I was when I was a kid. Martin's from Edinburgh, which again, Edinburgh is where the film Trainspotting it was from, etc. So that's quite a rough town generally. And me and Martin were talking. I shouldn't talk about this. Me and Martin were talking a little while ago, and I said to him, "When you were a kid, how many people did you know who carried axes for protection?" And he said none. And I knew two, so I thought that was quite normal, to be honest. But Martin sort of shot me down and said, "No, I didn't know anybody." I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." So, that was a little bit of my childhood, really. So, and that's, I think, where I write the lyrics for the songs, and sometimes that is where I mine the old stuff that is stuck in my head from back in those days.
Carrying an axe for protection, that is medieval. That is something that you would expect
I think it was. Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah. Carrying a battle axe or a sword or some kind of stabbing implement. I could see that. But, you mentioned Slough and Edinburgh. I'm kind of an Anglophile. I watch a lot of Doctor Who. I've seen the Ali G show with Sacha Baron Cohen. And I think he was from Slough, maybe. That character was from Slough.
Yeah, he was. And Ali G was based in Staines, which we play in Staines quite regularly. That's about 10 minutes up the road from Slough. And the other thing, the Office, the English Office, the TV show The Office, Ricky Gervais, that was based in Slough as well.
That's why I've heard that city so many times. But I didn't realize it was so. Well, I mean, had they cleaned up at all, or is it still the murder capital of the UK?
No, I was not the murder capital of the UK. To be fair, I mean, I now live a good 100 miles away. I live by the sea. I live in a little place called Weston-super-Mare. To be honest, that was my childhood. And when I started having kids myself, I thought, do I want my kids to grow up in a place in the murder capital of anywhere? So we just said, no, let's just disappear. So we moved a long time ago. And but I went back recently. I did go back in. I mean, don't forget, Slough is literally 5 minutes from Windsor Castle. The king in Windsor Castle has a Slough postcode, which would be a zip code over there. Yeah. So it's only 5 minutes from Windsor, and we decided to get out and stuff. But I did go back recently into sort of deepest, darkest Slough, and it is, I would say, worse. Even I thought, no, I'm driving back out of here.
Well, in that little sentence or in that paragraph that you just did, there is a thin line between classes where you'll have mansions over here on this side of the street, and over there, the hovels, the people that have the least income. So I see that all the time in big cities, in small towns. You'll have these mobile home mansion. Why did they build their mansion over here? It's just it's amazing. And then you go to the pub and everyone's all together. That person that was in the mansion and that person that was that living in a cardboard box, you might find them at the pub all hanging out together and listening to Naked Without It. How about that? So,
Naked Without It. Absolutely should be.
Okay, but you grew up in Slough. You're hanging out by the beach now, or by the water. Is there good surf? Is there good beach? Because I imagine that England doesn't have.
No, I'm afraid. No, it has been referred to as Western Super Mud sometimes, because when the tide goes out, there's literally about a mile of mud before you get to the actual sea. I mean, it's the Atlantic, so it should be okay, but it's the muddy side, I think. So it's the Bristol estuary or something like that. and it's just, no, it's not particularly good. We Martin lives in Chertsey, which is in Surrey, which is a nice place. Again, that's a place where you've got, you know, really expensive houses and really cheap houses. So that's a funny sort of place. But so I live in the southwest, but we play around about the southeast. So yeah, we played in central London on Friday night, which was great. We put a video up on the socials earlier on of a new song that we have called "I'm Not Pretty," which went down really well. First time we've ever played it live, and we do like a sing along. So if we can get the audience to sing with us, then that's really important to us. And we've done a song called "One Too Many," which is about drinking around London pubs, and it's not hard singing. We don't need harmonies or anything like that. I shout "One Too Many," and they shout "One Too Many" back at me. And with the new song, I say "I'm not pretty," and they say "But I'm prettier than you." And that seemed to work the other night really well. So I was really happy how that song landed.
Well, I like the call and response songs. I like when artists do come up with that kind of idea. There's some classic rock songs that have become call and response accidentally or on purpose. But you know, I do appreciate that. The biggest one was in my lifetime was Freddie Mercury and Queen doing was it Wembley Stadium in '86, where he was doing. He had control of up to 100,000 people doing his little scat. That's and everybody's doing that. Oh my gosh, to have control of that many people, or to have an engagement of that many people, not control so much, but engagement. People that are watching your show, they got up off their couch and they're calling and responding to a Naked Without It song. That is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I had about 100 people the other day, so that was all right. I was quite happy with that.
Oh, still, yes. I'll play for 2 or 200,000, and it's always this a similar energy. I try to bring all the energy I have, but if you have more people, it sends energy flowing back and forth. I don't know how much you believe in that, but when I have more people in the building, for example, last night I was at the Choctaw VFW and I had 100 people in that room, and just the feeling of me playing music and them singing songs, because it was karaoke shows. If you want engagement, put your lyrics up on a screen behind you or on a card, and they will sing along with every song. So whoever's up there on stage was singing a karaoke song, I have 50 to 100 people singing along because I have the words behind them on another screen. So I don't know how well that would work for you. If you would put your lyrics up on a card, everyone would sing along with you.
They do. I mean, when we first started out, we were on an internet show, and I, you know, sometimes we hadn't played together for a long time. We started playing again, and we were waiting to go on to this internet show, and I was a bit nervous and stuff. And Martin just said like you know, don't worry, just wait, and they'll tell us when we're on, because we're the entertainment. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm not just here to play the songs. We're here to entertain people. And since then, we've taken that completely on board. I've taken that completely on board, because that's my job, really. There's no point standing there and just playing the songs and expecting people to engage with it. You need to involve them, and people like to be involved with it, you know. So that's what we do now. We entertain as much as we can.
Well, you talked about the internet show and the evolution of Naked Without It. Tell me about where you all began. I mean, I'm guessing as a child in Slough, you must have been playing guitar. You must have been learning. What were you getting into on your own as a child before you met Martin?
Well, that was what we did to begin with. Well, I mean, me and Martin were both in separate rock bands in Slough back a long way ago, and we had we had the same drummer. So the drummer was in my band and in Martin's band, because there wasn't a lot of drummers in Slough that were any good. So we had this drummer called Julian, who was brilliant. And then we eventually those early bands split up. And at that time, me and Martin got together and started Naked Without It, and just did a couple of mostly cover songs or a few of my songs. And then we drifted apart through work and life and kids and things like that. So we didn't sort of see each other for about 25 years. And then unfortunately for us, like the old drummer that was in both bands died about 2019. And we got together for the funeral. Well, we both met up at the funeral. And, we then got chatting again, and Martin came up to where I live, and we would just sort of say, well, the guitars are all here. And we said, well, I've still got these songs, and I've got new songs, and what do you think? And we started playing together again. And we went out on one of the first times Mark came up to play. We went out to a local pub that did an open mic night. And we went out and played, and we played 3 songs, and they seemed to go down okay. And we said to the fellow that was doing the open mic, like, well, do you want us to do some more? And he just said, play as long as you like. And we said, oh, okay. Well, so we sort of thought, well, someone must be that we're obviously doing something right. And so we just carried on for a while and stuff. And then we took it from there and thought, well, if that worked and people like it, then maybe we just carry on and give it a go. And here we are, sort of 2 albums and a load of singles. And 6 years later, we're still going.
So that's fantastic. I love the origins of where people start off. You're in 2 different bands, and then you come up and you meet up, and you find that you work well together. You gel. Has it always been called Naked Without It?
Yeah. It has. Now, there's two sides to the Naked Without It name. Martin always says that I'll do his story because he's not here. So he always says that because when we were both in rock bands, we had a lot of people around us, and you had a lot of noise going on. So once we got together with just the 2 acoustic guitars, we were naked without the rest of the band and without the rest of the noise, which is very true. So we were sort of exposed. But it's also, Naked Without It is also a lyric from a Jane's Addiction song called Jane Says. Yes. Which shows you how far back we go. And Perry Farrell says, Jane says, have you seen my wig around? I feel naked without it. So that's the original sort of bit of where Naked Without It came from. But so there's 2 versions to where the name came from.
That's such an obscure throwaway line to such a great song. Jane Says, I mean, probably their biggest hit, I think, of Jane's Addiction. It has to be their signature. But right. I'm Gen X myself. I grew up in the 80s. I'm class of 86 to date myself, and I'm fully aware. But I remember, oh my goodness, that's... okay, all right. That's good to have stories about where Naked Without It came from. And you are a very stripped down version of a rock band, a very stripped down version of a band. Not necessarily rock in the genre. I mean, it's something that you could play covers and you can play originals using the 2 guitars. I've seen the solo guitarist. That's one thing. They bring a certain dynamic. But if you have two guitars that are playing off each other, and you harmonize very well with the 12 strings involved in your guitars, that you bounce off of each other. And you can tell you've been gelling together. You said 6 years. I thought you were together for many, many more years than that. Is that when you met up 6 years ago?
Well, this is 6 years this time round. Like I say, we go back to the bands we were in were early 90s. Oh, okay. The first time we did Naked Without It would have been about 93, 94, something like that, I suppose. And it was a long time ago. And then life gets in the way, and you do other stuff, and kids and jobs and things like that. But Martin's a professional guitar player. So Martin's day job, which is one of the things he's doing tonight, Martin's day job is that he's in the tremolos, the current version of the tremolos, and he's also Chesney Hawkes's guitar player in his band.
Yeah, I've heard these names. I don't remember exactly what songs they play, but I do know these names.
The Tremolos had an old '60s band. They did "Silence Is Golden."
Okay,
yeah, that song. And Chesney Hawkes. Chesney Hawkes has been. It was known hugely over here for a song called "The One and Only."
All right.
Yeah, I don't know how big it was over there. I don't think it made it to America, but yeah. So that's Martin's day job really, is that he is a professional guitar player, and he brings that to Naked Without It, where you sometimes have two acoustic guitar players together, and they are they'll play the same thing, but with Martin's so original with his guitar playing that he will literally. He's always working on a new line and something harmonically different to what I'm playing, which is where it works for us. I think that's where we get the originality, really.
Yeah, I think the underlying that I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that he Martin Kennedy brings the musicianship to it, and then you, Mr. Pooley, you bring the lyrics to it. So that gels quite well.
Yes. Yeah, that is pretty much what works. We work, as I say, because we live like 100 miles apart, so we generally work together quite a lot through WhatsApp. So I will get the general, I get the idea for the song, and I'll do the lyrics, and then I get like a basic sort of basic ideas for the tune, and I WhatsApp that through to Martin, and he then he'll gradually work on it and come up with ideas, and then send me back a track. And then we'll sort of go, well, that works, that doesn't work. And I mean, when we played Friday night, we had one run through of 2 new songs before we went to the gig, and then we just played them straight away. So yeah, it's a little bit. We don't really rehearse. We rehearse over the internet more than anything, which is a modern way of working, I suppose.
No, I find that fascinating. The internet has brought people together, musicians in particular, because I do talk to quite a few musicians on this podcast, and I get to speak to people that have never met each other, that are putting content out, that are putting music together, that have never met live in person. They there's one guy in Australia that does the lyrics, and the guitarist is in the Middle East, and then the drummer's in America somewhere. And I've seen that countless times, that over and over and over again. But you being a mere 100 miles apart, I'm guessing that that if you do book gigs, you try to book them somewhere in the middle, 50 miles from each of you, because 50 miles is not far to go for a good gig. I know that I go hundreds of miles. I have another gig coming up this weekend that is an hour and a half away, and I dread that. I dread having to go so far away, or even 2 hours or even 4 hours driving on my own, performing the gig, and then having to drive back, set up, perform the gig, tear it down, drive back home. So that's a long, tiring day. But I imagine that you try to set stuff up somewhere in the middle, maybe 50 miles from each of you.
We do sometimes, yeah. I mean, generally, we generally go down to sort of like the southeast, because there's more gigs in London. I mean, I'm just outside of Bristol, so there should be more gigs in Bristol, but there doesn't seem to be much. It's generally in the southeast for us. So it's me that generally does like most of the driving. But I think the difference is, I mean, in America, I think to go and see a band play, people will invest a lot more time in it. I mean, I used to know somebody who was from Orange County, and he didn't think anything of like traveling for like 3 hours to a gig, see the band, and then travel back 3 hours, because of the vastness of your country. I mean, we go to Florida on holiday quite regularly, and the size of Florida is just unimaginable, really, to us in our strange little island that we live on. And people won't travel. People, for anybody to go like half an hour is a lot of work for them. But over there, people don't seem to mind, because I think it's such a vast country that you have to, I suppose.
Well, depending on if there's drinks involved, if people want to be more mature and more conscious of it, if they're drinking alcohol, watching a band, and then having to find their way home at some point, the proximity to your house is kind of important. If you could find a pub that is even next door, where you can kind of crawl back to your front door and into your house, and that would be ideal. But to drive hundreds of miles to go see a band, that takes a little bit of planning, I think.
Yeah, we have. We play some gigs in HMV stores, in record shops over here, because they do. HMV over here is still a reasonable sized chain, and they do what they call live and local gigs on a Saturday afternoon. So you can get to play in a shop on a Saturday afternoon in like a main high street, and it's never later than 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it always works out really good for us, because, as you say, we can literally go out, play the gig, and then go home, or then go out for the evening. So we've got the evenings to ourselves. But then the other nice thing with the shops, with playing those shops, is you get like a revolving audience. So you've got people coming in, doing their shopping, and you're playing in the background thinking what's going on, and then they'll go, and then you get another lot of people come in. So it's like a revolving audience. It's they've been good fun. We really enjoyed doing them ones.
Oh, I do miss record stores, gigantic record stores, small record stores. I believe we have one left here in Conway, Arkansas. In fact, I know we have at least that one, and they did set up a stage on the far side of the record store, where they'll have. You could fit a band on this stage, and it's pretty sturdy. And they have the records on carts that are on wheels. So if there's quite a few people in the watching the band, they can move the records to one side or the other, or even into a back storeroom. But for the most part, it's kind of the situation that you're talking about at your HMV stores on Saturday afternoons, where you'll have people coming in and out watching the bands that are playing it on the far side on the stage. I remember I watched recently, and I hardly ever get Saturday nights off, because I'm also doing gigs, going where the money is, like Martin Kennedy is doing right now, where he's at a gig and you're stuck here talking to me. No, which I'm having a blast talking to you, Mr. Pooley. But no, it's right. It's amazing. The entertainment business, and I've said it before here on this podcast, the money can be good, but the work's not steady. It's a hustle, and you go where the gigs are. You go where it is. I mean, hopefully you have a day job that affords you the luxury of a steady paycheck. And here in the United States, we don't have socialized health care. So you want to have a job that has the health care benefits attached to it. But if you're betting on yourself and you want to be a full-time musician, you might starve for a little while. Starving musician is not an uncommon turn of phrase. But you've bet on yourself. Back in the 90s, when you were doing your gigs, what kind of gigs were you getting? And did you have day jobs to kind of sustain you?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we used to play in London quite a bit. We used to play. There was a place called the Rock Garden then. Obviously, we had the old Marquee, which used to move around and stuff. And we were in those sort of rock clubs and everything. But now it's as you say, it's hard to make a living. As a musician, you got to work really hard, and as you say, it comes and goes. So you have to take the money where it is. I have to do a day job to finance it, and if that's the way it is, that's how it works out. I'm afraid, but we'll keep going.
Oh no! I mean, and that's what we do to thrive and survive. Being on the being a human in general is clawing your way through existence a lot of times. But hopefully, there's happy times, good times. The pursuit of happiness is written into our Constitution. So pursue that happiness. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get that happiness, but if whatever dream you're having, whatever thought you're having, if it's being in a band called Naked Without It, do it. But don't let anyone quench your dreams, for sure. Always try to pursue your dreams, and you're doing it. You're doing that job. Now, back in the 90s, was it the duo guitarist, or did you have the late drummer that you had back in the 90s? Was it a fuller band, or was it the duo guitars back then?
No, it was the two fuller bands. I was in a band called Just Another Girl, and Martin was in a band called Paradise Alley. So they were both full rock bands. Right. But as you say about we keep pursuing it. I mean, on the new EP that we just put out, there's a song called Every Time, and the first lines of Every Time is every time you sing it makes me smile, and that really is the fact that when, as you say, we get the audience participation, and when people sing back at me, I put a thing on the social media sites this morning. It's just like a minute from Friday night's gig where people are singing back at me, and I sent Martin a message earlier on saying like that there's two things that make me laugh with it. That there's a lady that sings back and then does this really high pitched sort of cackle type laugh. And then Martin just sort of like looks, the look on Martin's face where it's like they've got it and they're singing back, and that's the best bit. It's when people are involved, and when they do the response thing. It's the reason we do it. Basically, it's great.
And I know that you put up a lot of those live performances on your YouTube page, and I have some of your social media that's lined up, and it'll be in the show notes a little bit, a little bit later below. But those points when you have the high-pitched cackling lady, those are the memories that you're going to take with you. Everyone else could be singing in perfect harmony, and you'll have that one cackling lady. I'm listening to songs over the years. I remember, the Police have these, back to Queen, Brian May doing that guitar solo. I think it was in We Will Rock You, when he has that little squelch in the guitar, those little imperfections, those little bits. You remember them when you're learning those songs. You remember that he squelched on that guitar, and it might have been accidental, but it's something that you'll remember for years, forever, maybe until you're gone.
There's a bit in Sympathy for the Devil by the Stones, where Keith obviously just he barrels down the neck, and it hits a wow. And then he's back in, and it sounds like it was slightly wrong, but they just went, it's the feel, it's the feel, leave it in, it's the feel of the song, and it's just, that's always the bit I think of. It's great. Yeah,
Sympathy for the Devil is one of my karaoke songs. I try to sound as best I can like Mick when I'm doing it. In fact, in the guitar solo, I'll say, Keith Richards on guitar. But stop! Don't do a British accent. Don't do it, Dan. Don't do a British accent. I'm telling myself in my head over and over, don't do it. No, but and you say you come to Florida, you come to the States quite often. Do you do any gigs over here?
No, that's just family. I think they've made it harder now as well, haven't they? I think it's harder to get now. England's decided, or Britain's decided to be separate from Europe. I think it's actually harder it seems to be harder for bands that are trying to get out into Europe or trying to get anywhere abroad these days. Seems to cost a fortune. So, but if anybody that's listening, or yourself, you want us to come over and play Arkansas, then. As long as there's a little bit of cash to fly us over, we're there for you.
Well, and here, just in that statement alone, you're talking about the separation of countries, and yeah, we're living in a separate country ourselves when we used to have, the global trade, the global, the ability to go from one country to another with no trouble. Now borders are getting closed. I don't know. Is that a good thing? Taking care of yourself only, or being a part of a global relationship to where a musician can go from one place to another, or even a salesman can go from one place to another, selling his wares and trying to, it's making it difficult to expand further into this globe. We need to have more unity, I think, in the globe, but it's an interesting time we're living in, to where they close borders and close off, because the byproduct of that is Naked Without It can't get a work visa to come and play in the States, or play in Europe, or play in the Far East. You're stuck in your small place, in the town you are. But I mean, the internet, I guess, helps to expand. I have your band camp, and your music is available worldwide. But to travel, to be able to travel freely it would be a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you have from a very outside point of view, you have a very strange president over there at the moment. I always say you never really know what the reporting of everything that's going on over there is, or what's fed over to us in England. I'm very untrusting of the mainstream media a little bit, because newspaper. I mean, nobody reads a newspaper anymore. But the fact that the very rich are in control of most of the media means that the very rich aren't going to let that media go, and they're not going to let you hear things that they don't want you to hear. And that's just a funny way to be running the world at the moment, I'm afraid.
No, they're very astute. I trust about 20% of what I watch on TV. I try to do my own research, but when you're doing your own research, you're bouncing ideas off of rich people's companies, and it's an interesting time. Everything you've heard about our government and what's going on is probably worse than what you've heard. It's all true and probably worse. Yes. But I mean,
I'll say, as I say, we're on holiday in August, so hopefully you've all rumbled him a bit by then.
Well, hopefully we still have a country by then, and I the people on his side and his administration say, oh, he's got a plan. He has a plan. He knows what he's doing. And I think you'll be okay in Florida. He lives in Florida, so I think you'll be okay there. So he's trying to take care of that state in particular. I do miss Florida so much. When you go to Florida, where do you go?
We are very much the touristy sort of side, I'm afraid. We do Orlando, and we do the tourist stuff for the kids. Me and my son did go into downtown Orlando one time to watch the basketball, which was great, but we came out without a plan, particularly of how to get back to International Drive sort of direction. So we were thinking we'd get a train or we'd find our way, but and the train stopped running, and we said to a lady, there was a lady sort of said, obviously realized we were lost tourists, and said, oh, if come with me, I won't do the accent. She said, oh, if you come with me on my line, she said, my neighborhood's not too bad. If you come there, get off the train and get an Uber from McDonald's. And we were like, what do you mean not too bad? But we made it back. I do remember that the bloke, when we got to downtown Orlando, there was a bloke on a push bike with seats on the back, and we jumped into these seat things. and we were literally downwind from this massive spliff that he was smoking as he was driving us through the streets. So we were like, okay, so downtown's a little bit different than the tourist part of Orlando.
Yeah, I lived in Orlando for about a year, and I remember, well, when I lived in Miami, 5 hours away from Orlando, I went to Disney almost every year during my young life. But when I lived in Orlando, I think I went to downtown Disney one time, but I did spend a lot of time on Church Street in downtown Orlando, and that's probably somewhere where you were. And Church Street is funny. I used to box at a gym called Candyman's Gym. It was run by a man named Chris, but they called him the Candyman. And that was on this side of the tracks. That was the rough part of the of the neighborhood, which is probably where this nice lady who was trying to help you out was probably referring to. Yeah. But Church Street has club after club after club and restaurant after restaurant. And that's like the strip in Orlando. But yeah, if you go on this side of the tracks, right, it's not a good part of town. But I do like Orlando. I remember it was about 50 pounds of crap in a 10-pound bag. They stuffed so much, and you're right about about any tourist trying to get home. If you're not staying at a hotel that provides transportation to and from, and usually it's to the Disney parks or Universal, and hardly ever. Yeah. I mean, usually there's a concierge that'll get you to Church Street and back. But if you miss that bus, yeah, you're in big trouble. You're doing some walking.
Well, I love the Uber drivers that we get in Orlando as well, because they'll either say nothing to you all the way to and from wherever the journey is, nothing at all, or you get their full life story. They are the most entertaining people. It's completely one or the other. You never get a normal bloke who'll just do a normal, half and half. They're either a complete maniac who'll tell you everything about everything, and give you the whole tourist guide thing as they're going along, or you have not a single word out of them all the way there.
See, I don't know if you would have liked me. I was a cab driver for about 6 months between jobs, and I wasn't a very good cab driver. I mean, I got people to where they needed to go, but the guy who ran the cab, he happened to be a friend of mine. He wanted me to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and unfortunately, he wasn't paying enough, and I was still able to get gigs in the evenings, but I had to be there by 5 p.m. So I was always cutting out early, and I was always in a rush by 4 p.m. to get done by 5 p.m. to get to my shows by 6 p.m. And I remember that. But talking and making sure that my driver, my passenger was comfortable, I was good in that respect. But I never did work a full day. So, there was always other things on my mind. So I can imagine that people are driving for other people. They all have stories. Everyone has a story. And whether they want to tell that story to you or keep it to themselves is a matter of, I guess, their personality. But what do you prefer? I guess you don't want somebody that's too talkative and someone that's too quiet.
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it? I quite like the talkative. I like the talkative because I never know. Sometimes there might be a sentence in there. I might get a little germ for a song. If I get a little germ for a song, then that's me. I'm happy then. That's where ideas come from. Sometimes
that's the amazing magic that you have. You could turn ideas into songs, and that's what you've been doing. Your whole life, I guess. Or were you good at English or were you good at poetry back in grade school? Were you a wordsmith back then?
I was dreadful at school. My kids are pretty clever, so they do. We used to get, I think you get report cards or something. We used to get a report book, and occasionally they'll pull my old report book out from school, and it's just from about 13 onwards, when we started like secondary school, until 16 when they threw you out. It just goes down really, so it's not good. And it should have been worse, but no, they're never impressed by that. But no, not particularly. So I mean, as I say now, I think I'm making up for it really, because there's always songs. I'm always sending Martin ideas for songs, and we did last year we did the Naked Without It Singles Club album, and we decided that we would do a new single every month through 2022 to 23, and we'd do a single every month until we got 12 singles done, and then we could release it as an album. We didn't really do much. Well, this is probably the school thing. We didn't really do the math to work that one out, because, of course, a single every month basically meant that was a whole year of our lives just sort of like blown out. So, and then we had to like release them and do artwork for them, etc. So that was at least a year, and then we put the thing out. So that was a year and a half of our lives. And then this time we've decided that we'll do 4 EPs across the year. So the one we released on Friday, 25/8 Ringlet Curls, we decided that's the first one. So that's the first 3 songs on there, and we're going to do a new one every 3 months. So again, stupidly, we've decided to do a whole album across another year. So we just sort of seem to have made ourselves busy. But the first one came out on Friday, and the lead single from that is Girl at the Bar. And then the next one will be out July, and then it'll be September, I guess, and then Christmas. And we were talking the other night, they've set me a bit of a challenge to write a Christmas song. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll find some way around a bit. What I'll probably go, there is my favourite Christmas song is a Dropkick Murphys song, which is just great. I don't know if you know much about the Murphys, but it's typical Murphys, but it's about that's Christmas where I'm from, so it's sort of like that's always worth a listen, that one.
Oh, the Murphys come out every St. Patrick's Day around here, so I whip them out, at least once a year. But that's another thing, is once a year they do keep coming back. It's evergreen. So if you do write a Christmas album, the chances, the wonderful thing about a Christmas record is that it keeps popping up every year. So it has that potential to give you residual every year. That's that mailbox money. But you're giving the people gems. You set a goal for yourself to do an album. I mean, to do a single every month. That is an investment, monetarily and time investment. You have to be financially secure to be able to invest that much time to building a song, because whether it's going to be a good song or a bad song, and that's all subjective. You could think that every song that you make is wonderful. Oh, this is a great idea, and maybe most other people are going to think, oh, that's terrible, and then you'll think, oh, this is a terrible idea, and then there's going to be people that say, I love that idea. You never know where the good singles or when things are going to take off or not. But I know that I've talked to writers on this thing, and they do something like Writing October, where you try to write a whole book a day for every day in October, something like that. I can't remember. Maybe you write a whole book in 1 month, or if you write a book a day, or you read a book a day. But there's people set goals for themselves, and I do appreciate that. You hold yourself accountable to reaching the goal, the dreams we've talked about. I mean, I talked about the dreams earlier, and you're making those dreams come true by setting those goals.
Yeah, well, I find I have to, and I mean, I've already written the next EP's written, so I know that's fine, and I'm done till that gets me till about August, something like that. But I mean, we play with a fella who put on the gig the other night, a man called Tom Bright, who's got an album out this week as well. But he's a really nice fella. He's very supportive of us. He's a really good bloke, really good musician. And I was talking to him about it the other day, and about how sometimes, and he just turned around and he said, "Don't worry." He said, "You're quite prolific." He said, "It'll come. Don't worry, it'll come." And I thought, no, perfect. I will just ignore it. and I know how my songs come. It will turn up. Some songs will turn up. I always have little sketches and little ideas of words and stuff. I have this mad little dog, and I take my dog out, and while I'm wandering around, sometimes it'll just like a line will start going. And again, with the joys of technology now, if you've got your phone, so I can record ideas and words and things like that. And then the next night, I'll take him out again, and I'll go back to that again, and I'll get a couple more lines, and then 5 minutes later there's a song. So it'll turn up. I'm not concerned at all.
I find it fascinating that people still think in terms of records. I thought now with the internet age, with the age of iTunes and Spotify, that it's all single after single after single. But I don't know. What's the advantage of thinking about it as an album? Do you still compile things and put them on CD to sell, maybe at a merch table at the end of your show, or do you make vinyl? Do you have any of your own vinyl sitting behind you on that wall?
I do actually. I mean, that's the last album. So this was the Singles Club album. Before that, we did an album called Habits Far Too Bright, which again, is just a physical CD, which I still, because I've got so much of it myself, I do. We do still put out a physical format of it. You don't get a lot of. It's nice to have something to sell, as you say, merchandise, because it makes us a little bit more. Basically, the way we work with these is that the people that buy them. When we initially put them out, generally that finances the next one.
Yes.
So that's what we tend to do, and we always put something out with it. We put out this has got it's the old school stuff. There's badges, and there's a beer mat, and there's a sticker, and with the initial ones with these, there was a key ring that I made as well. It's just making it a little bit special, and I think a lot of people will just buy it to sort of help us out, really, and then even if they'll then listen to it on Spotify or whatever they normally listen to things on, but they still got the physical thing. They do say there's a massive resurgence in vinyl over here, but they say there's a lot of people that will buy vinyl, but don't actually have a turntable, so they still want the physical thing. And then they listen to it on Spotify, but they've got the physical record. So I think that's good. I don't know about America, but vinyl is just really expensive. It's far too expensive to produce over here at the moment. You've got to commit to a good sort of £1,000 if you're going to seriously put something out. And it doesn't quite. It wouldn't work out economically viable for us to do a vinyl album.
Yeah, I think
unless we got signed to somebody and a nice record company decided to do it for us.
I think that's probably the same, a similar case here. I do appreciate that you have something physical, a collector's item, a memento of the time that they spent with you. That was one of my favorite things as a kid, growing up and going to concerts, coming away with a T-shirt, with a pin, with a cap, with a record. I do have. And yes, I do have those 2 vinyl records. I have some CDs, but if you notice behind me on the wall, that's where the CDs are. I have, one of my local artists there, and a couple of others that I've had from artists that I've had on the podcast that have sent me things, and a few that I've bought over the years that are still sitting in boxes. I don't play them, but it's nice to have those mementos, those keepsakes that, hey, I went to a Naked Without It concert, and I saw Tony and Martin, and they were playing, and now I have this T-shirt with their faces on it. I've gotten plenty of T-shirts, and I've had them sign the T-shirts, but then I realized, well, now if I wear that T-shirt, I can't wash that T-shirt because the signature will wear away. So now I have them just hanging up, in various places in my house.
Well, we give out. I mean, we did these the other night, little just pins, like you say, badges over here. We did pins, and people shouldn't. People don't really have them anymore. But if you're just handing them out, people are just happy, and it makes people happy. And as you say, they'll remember the next day. They'll go, who was that band? Oh, wait a minute, I've got a pin somewhere, and they'll find that. Then they'll look us up, and We put the on the back of the beer mats that we had. I haven't got one here. We put the QR code, which takes people straight through to Spotify, so to the band page on Spotify. So that was quite good. So I think that's a good way to go as well. So we did that the night, and obviously playing in the pub, you can stick them on the tables, and then we're there, and they've got the QR code like right in front of them. So it's a good way of doing it. It's a good way. Little bits that we have to do these days to get people to sort of engage and remember us the next day.
Well, I know there has to be a few people like myself that, you're wearing a jacket there. I had a very similar denim jacket that had pins from bands that I've been through, over the years, from ninth grade, to into my college years. I was collecting these pins and patches, and I would have my my grandmother sew the patches onto my denim jacket. I still have a vest in there that has pins from several different. They're little mementos, little keepsakes that help you remember. Yeah. And then as you walk around, they become conversation items. If someone sees you with a jacket and it has a Naked Without It pin on it, and you go, "Hey, who's Naked Without It?" Or, "Hey, I've heard of them. I listen to their music on Spotify." Or, when I was in Slough, I saw them play at a dive bar, at a club, at a pub, and they were doing their thing. It strikes up conversations. It's a physical piece.
It does.
That they can have. That's a part of you. That lets them know that they're in a club.
This jacket actually has a pin on it of a. This jacket has a pin on it of a. I don't know if anyone can see it. Of wings of an 80s band called Flesh for Lulu.
Oh my gosh. I go crazy when I'm without you. Yeah. Flesh for Lulu. Love them. Boy. I had that album. That's great. Yeah. I think I wore that album out. But I Go Crazy was a great song.
The guitar player, there's you have to. I don't think it's not on Spotify. They recently, when Flesh split up, they'd made an album for, I think it was Capitol Records, and it never got released. And then last year they finally got the tapes and everything that they'd recorded back then together, because Rocco, the guitar player, had some tapes, and Dell, the other guitar player, had some tapes, and they got them together, and they actually released this lost album. I can't remember what it's called. 2 seconds. I'm probably not allowed to say it. I'll bleep it out. It's Cosmic Mind Fa is all I say. Cosmic Mind Fa. So they've recently put that out. So, and it's very much along the lines of I Go Crazy as well. I don't know if it was released. I don't think it's on Spotify or any of the platforms, but yes, worth a search, because Nick Marsh, the singer, died a few years ago, sadly, so he's not around. And the weird way these things work is, I was a huge fan when I was a kid, and now Rocco, the guitar player, is a friend of mine. So he's back in a band called Wasted Youth, and he was going to come see us on Friday night, but they had a gig the same night, so it didn't work out. But there you go. Fantastic. I Go Crazy. There you are. Yes. Good for you.
I like it when the people that I talk to on this podcast give me homework to do and give me ideas of what to look for and what to spend the rest of my day with. But, that you want that as a band. You want that staying power. Yes, you formed in the 90s. You had a little bit of a break because of life. I guess, did you have children or a wife or what?
Yes.
What broke you up in the 90s, and how did you reform as we're winding this thing down?
Yeah. Well, yeah. As you say, got married, had kids, but I had a career I worked for HMV for quite a long time. So I started off when we were back in Slough working in a record shop, and then I then moved with the company and sort of like moved further away. So the choice was to sort of like try keep the bands going or go away with the career, and I had to go with the career at the time. But so I worked for HMV for 10 years, which was great fun. Working in a record shop in the 90s was, it was an interesting time. It was fueled. I mean, it was fueled by record company money. There was a lot of record company money thrown at singles to make them hits and things, which came with. It was a very. I ain't bothered. It was a very, very alcohol and drug sort of like business back then. And, it was, fascinating times, shall we say.
No, and I spent a lot of time in record stores. I do appreciate that you found a career. and yes, we all have these crossroads. You made the choice to leave the band to pursue something that was going to be steady and lucrative that you could take care of your family with. But that's a choice that we make. Well, primarily as men, we make those choices to take care of our families. I'm looking for a day job myself that'll give me a steady pay with the health benefits. I still have the ability that'll still give me the ability to do the night job, pursue the career that I enjoy. Doing the radio stuff and doing the DJ stuff in the evenings. But we do what we have to take care of ourselves and our families. But working at a record store, my goodness, exactly. In the 90s, as it was starting to peter out, because I remember I gave up my techniques back in 1999 when MP3s were starting to become more viable, and I had the ability to control my MP3s using my computer. So playing songs on records and carrying those records around, it started to become, less plausible, less of it was more of a headache to carry those around rather than just one computer with all the vinyl, with all the music inside. It's great. But
I think that'd be great.
But you still have those records.
We have to. We do what we have to do, and then and then we do these other things to keep us alive. I think, as I say, when we played I'm Not Pretty the other night, and people saying "But I'm prettier than you" back to me, just made it like it's exactly why we do it, and it's great fun. So we'll keep doing it while it's fun, and if people want to hear it, we'll keep doing it.
Oh, it manifests that energy back and forth. That call and answer just gives you an instant gratification, whether the people are engaged or not. They're engaged if they're responding to your call and response. But as we wind this thing down, let's give some shout outs to people that have helped you along the way. Who's helping you record these songs? Are you doing it all on your own? Do you have the recording equipment in your own houses, or do you have studios that you go to help you mix and master? And is there anybody else pushing you along?
Mine's got a rehearsal studio. Mine's got a rehearsal room which has got like a studio in it, so we work on the studio there. And the way we work is I'll go down, I'll play my bits, I'll play the rhythm guitar, and I'll do the vocals or the first line or a couple of lines of vocals, and then Martin will then take his time working out his intricate guitar lines, and then he'll do the production on it, and then he sends me up something WhatsApp wise, and we go from there. And so we do that all in house. As I say, the Big GPR have been brilliant for us this year. They're a fantastic team that have been getting us out worldwide, which has just been mad for us, which is great. As I say, Tom Bright Music puts us on, which is whenever we're in London. There's a gent called Graham Steele who puts us on Sheer Direction, Surrey as well. And it's just nice to have promoters that actually want to give us the time, because most people in Britain just want to see covers bands, and we're not a covers band. I mean, we do the odd cover. We will chuck in. We are doing "Should I Stay or Should I Go" with it by Clash at the moment. But the cover, we used to do Jolene, and we're not doing Jolene anymore at the moment. But Mrs. Robinson as well, that's the sort of thing we'll do. But so we chuck in the odd cover, but we're not a covers band, so people don't really want you that much playing, or you're playing that much. But yeah. So yeah, definitely. Thanks to Tom, Big GBR, and Graham Steele for putting us on.
That's fantastic. Okay, now you did mention that you had a gig last Friday. Are there any regular gigs that the people can find you on? Do you have a regular place that you play, say every Friday or every Thursday or one time a week?
There's a place we regularly play, so at least once a month, which is a place called the Newtown Pippin, which is a pub in Bracknell. As I say, you can catch us at lots of HMVs, mostly around about the southeast on a Saturday afternoon. As well, and it's the Carlton Tavern that we normally play in London, which is in Maida Vale, which is just up from Paddington, which is really nice. That's our regular venues at the moment. So as I say, we had the 25/8 is the tagline for the EPs for this year. We decided 24/7 wasn't enough because we were already doing quite so much, so it's all called 25/8. So the first one, 25/8, Ringlet Curls, came out on Friday, with the main track being Girl at the Bar. Yeah, there'll be another one in July, but I haven't decided what it's called yet.
That's very Beatles of you, working 8 days a week. I like that one.
Yes, indeed.
All right, my man. Well, I mean, shoot, we've talked about a lot of things. I've taken some time from you. I hope that this is not the last time that we talk. I want you to come back anytime that you want to promote whatever you want. But I'm so glad that Big G put us together. And I've had such a great time talking to you, Mr. Pooley, Tony J, my man. No, and I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. I want you to give some words to live by, something you maybe heard a long time ago, or a mantra that you wake up with, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Tony J. Pooley of the Naked Without It band, give us the last words for the people.
Okay. Well, I will just go. The last words for the people. I probably shouldn't do this, but let's just go with the newest song which we've landed, which is, sadly, I'm Not Pretty, but I'm prettier than you.
Well, there you have it, party people. Tony J. Pooley of the band Naked Without It. Oh, I'm so sad that I didn't get to talk to Martin Kennedy, but, hey, that happens. He had a gig. He had to make some money. That's the entertainment business. You got to hustle. And I could tell they've been doing it for a long time, on and off. And then, working in the record store, in the record business, he had that firsthand knowledge of how records are sold, how records, are marketed. And that, man, you give me gems, Tony. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I encourage the folks to go out and check out. Well, they got the Martin Kennedy has his own website, martinkennedyguitarist.com. He's got a / on there, Naked Without It. I have the links in the show notes, but then Naked Without It has Bandcamp. They have a Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, all that. Go and follow them around. They got the Facebook page, and I encourage you to check out every link. And I know he mentioned merchandise. That is a lot of times where bands are making, their little extra money. The real money is made from merchandising. Yeah, you get paid a certain amount to go to a gig, go to a pub, go to a restaurant, go to a venue. You get a certain amount. But then that merchandise table, that's the chance where the fans get to meet in person the members of the band, and take a little memento, take a little keepsake. He's got CDs still, okay? Making records, yeah, it's got to be expensive. So CDs, a mug, a T-shirt, a pin that you can put on your jacket that will help spread the word about Naked Without It. To put that pin on your jacket or on your T-shirt or up on your cap, or have a cap with Naked Without It on it, and people will ask, hey, what is that? And you get to spread the word, spread the news about this wonderful band. And they're so good. So good. So nice talking to you, Tony J. Pooley. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Now, it concludes this edition of What Makes You Famous. Now, if you Yes, you. I'm turning my attention to you. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.